placement. Hello and welcome back to Since No One Asked. Last week I spoke to you about the importance of a title and how it can help you come up with any kind of story. Today is how to write that story. I'm gonna call up my good old buddy Aristotle. A story is the imitation of a complete and whole deed, one that has some kind of magnitude. What does that mean? It has to be a story worth telling. Who's to say which story is worth telling? At this point, only you. But you have to have a sense of what I'm going to tell. First, it has to interest you. Try to project yourself and think, is it going to interest anyone else? One other person, two other persons, another million persons? That's the worst I hope for you. Aristotle told us another quite interesting bit. A story has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. I'm not gonna go like, duh, of course. It's not that easy. He goes on to explaining a beginning is a part of a story that doesn't need anything before, but that requires something after. What is an end is the part of a story that requires something before, but nothing after. And what is a middle is a part of a story that requires both something before and something after. It tells you that the beginning, the middle, and the end have to be interconnected and they cannot live without one another. There are like books upon books upon books, like website upon website about 3-act structure or the 9-act structure or who saved the fruiting cat or whatever. As many methods as there are writers. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you my method. Let's say you aim for a 120 pages script, which is what Hollywood script have to be. With that being said, you don't have to write a Hollywood script. Just to give you an idea. The 3-act structure, it's in 4 parts. Act 1, 30 pages. First part of Act 2, 30 pages. Second part of Act 2, 30 pages. And Act 3, 30 pages. There you have 120 pages. I'm done. Thank you very much. No, I'm kidding. When I was learning about the whole, script writing thing, I was like, oh my god, 120 pages, how am I going to write that? Even like 30 pages here, 60 pages there, or 30 pages there. It was killing me. I didn't know what to do. But I watched a lot of movies back then on DVDs. What the DVDs had that the VHS didn't have is they had chapters. And my method is actually the DVD chapter method. The DVD chapter method. This is one of my favorite movies. Can you see? Willow. Love this movie. If you open it and you remove the cover, you actually have DVD chapters with titles. And that's the key word here. Chapters with titles. I went through my collection and I saw that they roughly have between 20 and 40 chapters, all with a title that informs you about where you are in the story. In sometimes like somewhat cryptic way. Cryptic is good. Think Yoda. Let me give you an example. Chapter 1, the prophecy. Opening credits, who cares? Chapter 3, the baby daikini. Chapter 4, a budding magician. Chapter 5, the dog of death. Chapter 6, Willow's quest. Every chapter has a title, and this is what we're going to use to write a feature-length script. Let's rewind a bit. Instead of having 120 pages to fill, now we actually have 4 parts of 30 pages each. I don't know about you, but for me, to write 30 pages, this is still quite intimidating. So what I did is I started from an average number of 7 chapters per act. Instead of writing 30 pages for that frigging Act 1, I now only have to write 7 chapters. 30 pages? Ooh. 7 chapters? Cool, I can do that. You can do that. Everybody can do that. 7 chapters to write for Act 1. 7 chapters to write for the first part of Act 2. 7 more chapters to write for the second part of Act 2. And then 7 chapters to write for Act 3. So now it's much less intimidating because I don't have to write hundreds of pages. I don't even have to write 30 pages. I only have to write 7 chapters for each part. Imagine that Act 1 is a film in and of itself. Let's say a short film. So what you have to do is write 7 chapters, and you know that in the first act you need to introduce your characters, introduce what they are about and what they are about to do or achieve, or probably the last of those 7 is the one that's going to put the hero or the character or the protagonist onto its quest. Sometimes a quest can be as easy as, like becoming a good father, becoming a good son, or, or just like finding your car keys. Then you start writing the first part of Act 2. Then again, it's not 30 intimidating pages to write. It's only 7 chapters. And in those 7 chapters, you know that you have to start with the beginning of the quest and end on the character is almost achieving its quest, and then kaboom, kabla, shapla. Everything that the character set out to do, everything the character was trying to achieve, everything is lost. Everything is lost. Everything is lost. Then you have to start writing the second part of Act 2. And not 30 pages like we are so, like afraid to write. The very easy 7 chapters. That's the beauty of it. Every time, just 7 chapters. Who cannot write 7 chapters? And you also have a frame for that because you've already done Act 1 and you know who the characters are. And you also wrote the chapters for the first part of Act 2, so you know where they've tried to achieve and where they failed. You know that they are at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom, but at least they've learned the lesson, and you too. The next 7 chapters are how does the hero go back into shape in order to take you to the beginning of Act 3. Act 3 is what? The build-up to and the climax. Basically, it's how your story ends. And again, it doesn't end in 30 dreadful pages. It ends in 7 easy chapters. You're gonna describe how the hero is going to achieve whatever goal he set out to do, failed to do, and start again to trying to do. And that's basically what you need to write in those 7 chapters. If you feel like it, you can have an epilogue, that's a few chapters at the end. If the story requires it, you can also have a prologue. Then from 28 chapters, you can end up at 29, 30, 32. You have 30 chapters, all blanks. But if you do what I advised you to do, don't look at the whole picture and be afraid of what you're gonna do. Just look at pieces of the whole frame, and then it's much, much less intimidating. Let's say you focus on Act 1 with those 7 blanks. You're gonna write just like chapters. Like what I said in Willow. Be careful. A chapter is not an action. A chapter is not a scene. A chapter is not a sequence. A chapter is a chapter. Instead of John crosses the street, that would be just an action. What you do is on the way to the museum. That's a chapter title, which means there's going to be some street crossing, some friends making, some conversations having. So once you have all your chapters, you need to apply that for every single chapter. And again, this is not so intimidating. It's just 1 line. For each chapter, you write 1 line. You still don't have a script, but you're getting there. That 1 line, you're going to develop it. And again, give yourself easy goals to achieve, because the best way to lose confidence is to give yourself some very high goals. Then you go like, oh, I can't get there. Oh, you fail and you go like, this is not for me, too hard. Don't get discouraged. Don't set goals that are too hard to achieve. The method I'm trying to give you is a method that is not intimidating, that empowers you, that gives you self-confidence, because all those goals are actually easy. First 4 parts, then 7 chapters per part, then 1 line per chapter. And then once you have that 1 line per chapter, you write a little paragraph. Let's say 5 to 10 lines. Again, that's not the big deal. 5 to 10 lines per chapter. And once you have that for your 28 or 30 chapters, what you end up with is actually a 6 pages treatment. A 6 pages treatment is still not your script, but it's really, really closer to the actual thing. What you're going to do now is you take your treatment, all those little paragraphs, you are going to break them down into script form. You know, the thing with like interior, Cedric's studio, day. Each paragraph becomes a number of scenes. If a paragraph becomes just 1 scene, it means you got it wrong somewhere. A chapter, again, is not just an action. Once you have that, once you've broken down each and every single paragraph of yours in your treatment, what you end up with is your... Okay, maybe this is not the best script you just wrote, but at least you just wrote 1 script. You did it, congratulations! And now can start the best part of writing, which is rewriting. I hope this was helpful to you, As I've said before, if you like what I have to say and if you like how I say it, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you have other friends that might be interested as well, do share. Thank you very much. This is Jouarie signing out on Since No One Asked.